Hi there, and welcome to Still Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Fortune Fowle, and if you're new here, welcome to a space that's all about progression, not perfection. The fact that we are becoming people, which means we have not arrived at who we're meant to be yet, but we are just getting to our destination. And so I invite you into this space, and happy Still Learning Monday. Happy Monday, guys. I hope your Monday is off to a great start. I hope that you're doing well. I hope that the month of January was amazing for you. I can't believe we already made it through 1 month in the year. And I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like January goes by like really slow. Like I definitely think there are months in the year that go by really slow, and January definitely is one of them. So I say January is like top, and then next I would say May. But I also feel like January is just like a month of like you kind of not feel confused like, but I feel like January is a month where you are starting to figure out where you want this year to go. Like I know people make their resolutions, they make their goals and their declarations, which are all important, but I feel like January is where you're just getting yourself ready. Like you haven't really started yet. It's like a warm up. I feel like January is the warm up of the year. And so I hope that you guys feel all warmed up, stretched out, and are ready to enter this new month, February, which is the month of love. And I absolutely love love. Like I am a hopeful romantic to my core. I am a lover girl to my core, rom-com, all the things to my core. I absolutely love it. And even though it is commercialized Valentine's Day and it's all about, oh, your significant other, your partner, which don't get me wrong, very important and you should celebrate them, but you should be celebrating them every day, technically. But I also just love that there is a whole time just to really like celebrate love, because love is such an important thing. It's something that I think really forms bonds, and is like the number one thing, one of the greatest things in life and in relationships is love. There's so much power in love. I mean, we're here because Christ died for us, because he loved us. Like, so love is such an important thing. It's so powerful. I love that there's a whole month to celebrate it, and I definitely hope that you guys, whether you're in a relationship or not, are taking the time to celebrate the gift of love and to be love and to be able to give love to others. And, you know, whether that's with your girls, with your friends, with your family, just let the people in your life know that you love them and that you cherish them. And though we should be doing that every day, be specifically intentional in this month to do so. I think I really am going to try to do that as well, and try to have some sort of plans for this month. Like I typically don't have plans this month. Like, other than the fact that I'm single, but like I typically don't have plans like in general, and like maybe I should try to have plans with my friends, but I also might be working during this time. It's a whole thing. I'll figure it out, guys. But how about we all just agree to be intentional about showing love, celebrating love in this month with our loved ones, even though we should be doing it every single day. It's already in your face. It's everywhere you see it. The colors are there. Be more intentional about doing it this month. So moving on to what we are actually talking about today. I know I just went on a whole spiel about love and all the things, but like I told you guys, I'm a lover girl, I'm a hopeful romantic, so I love all those things, and I will definitely be bringing some of those conversations to us in this very special month about love, which I'm looking forward to. Today actually relates to the devotional that I've been working through in the last week, and the devotional is called The Search for an Unoffendable Heart. I know, deep. But it really is that, a search for an unoffendable heart, and having a heart that isn't so easy to be offended. And to put it quite simple, don't take it personal. Like it really is that learning to live this life without taking things so personally. And I think for me, that has always been one of the things that was my greatest struggles for me, to not take things so personally, because with me, when I took things personally, I internalized it, and whatever you internalize ends up infiltrating into your heart, and that affects your heart posture and how you go about life. And so I was someone who used to be really sensitive, and not that sensitivity is a bad thing. And I want us to know there's a difference between having a sensitive heart and then having a heart that is easily offended. A heart that is sensitive just means you're empathetic and in tune to people's emotions and feelings, versus offense, you're more on guard and you're a lot more defensive and you're a lot more ready to kind of take things as an attack on you. And so I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but I took things really personal and internalized it in a sense where I constantly thought it was a me. I constantly thought that it was an issue with myself and that it was something that I did and that I need to change myself. And again, this ties to my people pleasing ways that I used to have. And so it makes sense that I really took things so personally and internalized them. And since I worked that out in therapy and just as I've grown as a person and individual, I've really come to learn not to take things personally. And it's why I also wanted to continue to lean into this devotional, because I wanted to know the areas in my life where I'm easily offended. And the beginning of the devotional, she told us to make a prayer, which is that God revealed to me the areas where I'm easily offended. And truly, God has been showing me the areas where I am so easily offended, but I've been catching myself in the moment and being like, ooh, I have a choice here. I have a choice here. This is an opportunity to be offended, but I can choose to show grace. I can show love. I can show compassion. And so those are things that I've been working out in this last week. Another thing I think that's really helped me not to take things so personally is honestly being a nurse. Like, it is being a nurse, because how I like to think of it is that you are encountering people at some of their lowest points in life. Like, who is likable when they're sick, if we're being honest? Like, who is the most tolerable when you're sick? Like, you are a Grinch when you're sick. Like, you are miserable. You don't feel well. You don't feel your best. You're in pain. And the level of patients that I take care of are high acuity patients. So they're going through a lot physically, mentally, emotionally, socially. And so I'm definitely not encountering them when they are their best selves. And that doesn't excuse behaviors that are inappropriate or can be harmful to myself, but it does create room to not take things so personal. It creates space for grace for me to be like, you know what? You actually aren't your best self right now. Maybe if you were not in this predicament, maybe if you weren't in so much pain, maybe if you weren't this sick, there would be a completely different conversation and outlook that we would be having right now, but that is not the case in circumstance. And so I acknowledge this. And just because you may be acting out of this place of pain and hurt, I'm able to have compassion for that and understand that. But doesn't mean now that I'm going to take on the offense that you have sent in my direction. And I just think life is full of opportunities to be easily offended. And I think it's really important for our hearts, for our hearts to not become hardened and to remain soft in this thing we call life, to learn not to take things personally. Disclaimer though, some things are personal. Some things you have to take to the Lord and prayer, but most of the time, things are not that personal. It's just us being human, because we are all imperfect and we're not all able to show up as our best selves 24/7. And when you put into the perspective and lens that you don't show up as your best self 24/7, you're able to have more grace when other people don't do the same around you. And that's what helps not take it personally, because it's not that it's you. I think the biggest thing that kind of really helps set me free with not taking things personal is to stop assuming. I had a big assuming problem. I constantly assumed that it was something I said, something I did, something I didn't do, something I didn't say. I was constantly assuming why the person was, in my lens, in my perspective, was being cold, why they distanced themselves, why they said what they said to me that hurt my feelings. I was constantly assuming what it was instead of discerning what it was. And that was the hardest thing for me. Like, I stopped taking things personal when I stopped assuming people's intentions, when I stopped trying to know people's hearts. I was constantly trying to figure out the why, And me constantly assuming things, it revealed to me where I also lacked in terms of communication, right? Because I was trying to assume that, okay, maybe I didn't do something, so let me do this and maybe that would make them better. Like all these different things when I could have simply like cut out the meat, cut out the waste of time, cut out the assumptions and just communicate with them. Just ask them. Assumptions prevent you from actually understanding a person and where they're coming from when you're constantly assuming, and it actually creates more room for confusion than clarity. And so for me, it not only helped me to stop taking things so personally when I stopped assuming, but it also helped me to realize, oh, I lack proper communication skills. My communications need to be enhanced. I need to get better at this because I will not always know a person's heart. I will not always know a person's intentions. I don't even always know my own heart and my own intentions. So what makes me think that I can know another person's? Yes, I can know someone's character. I can have been in a relationship with someone for so long, but you will never 100% know a person's heart because you don't even know your own. And so it's very important that you communicate with them when these things and incidences happen to create space for clarity and not confusion. And so for me, that was really important. And that made me realize, oh, this isn't about me. I've constantly been assuming that this is something that I did or something that I said, but how this person acted is completely to do with their own perspective, their own experiences, what they have gone through in life, and what has shaped and formed them. And each one of us has a vantage point in life, but our vantage point is shaped and formed by our unique individual experiences and ideologies that we go through in life. And so it's very important that we are able to understand that person isn't acting out because of something you did, but it's something internal going on with them. And so when you are able to look at it from that perspective, when you're able to kind of like, oh, like, no, this is rooted in childhood trauma, because we all have childhood trauma. Like there's definitely times where I recognize like, oh, like it was not you. This was a trauma. This is a trauma that I have to unpack. Had nothing to do with you. Like, one of the things that I understand is that I am hyper independent. And so when someone tries to help me or show up in my life, it is really hard for me to allow them to do that. And it has nothing to do with the person. They can be so helpful, they can be so kind, but me and my own self, because of certain situations that I went through in life, I've just become such a hyper independent person. So it's really hard for me to be able to just let someone come in and help. I've been working on it. And so it is something that I've gotten better at. There's still more progress that needs to be done, but I recognize that. And so when a person may become offended when I'm just constantly resisting their help and not allowing them to show up for me in that way, I'm able to take accountability and say to them, hey, like, this has nothing to do with you, so please don't take it personally. It has everything to do with me, and this is what I'm working through. Have patience with me. So in that moment of communication, of clarity, of them understanding where I'm coming from now, right now we get more context. They are able to not be offended by my actions, but now there's this understanding and there's grace. And so it's the same way that I should be able to do it for others. When I am in a position to understand others before being understood myself, I'm allowing myself to be in a position where I can now extend grace and compassion to another individual. I'm now putting myself in a position where I'm like, this does not have to be something that wounds the both of us. You have your own personal wounds, but that doesn't mean I have to allow your personal wounds to cause a wound within me. And it boils down to choice. When I was reading through this devotional and she was talking about in devotional how offense is a choice. And I know that sounds crazy. You're like, you know what I mean? Offense is a choice. You think I chose for that person to cuss me out? You think I chose for that person to betray my trust? You think I chose that? That kind of sounds crazy to say that. That is a choice. But here's where the choice lies. The choice lies in your response. As I stated earlier, there's going to be so many opportunities in life for you to be offended. So many opportunities in life for someone to hurt your feelings, for someone to say the wrong thing that rubs you the wrong way. And even that boils down to yourself, because that person's intention may not even to be to offend you, but because of your own personal experiences, you take it that way. And so it boils down to how you respond, and that's where the choice lies in being offended or not. Like, you cuss me out and I can choose to be offended and be like, oh, who do you think you're talking to? Or I can be like, where is this coming from? Because you don't just randomly cuss out a person unless there is a level of pain, hurt here. Like there is something deeper here. I want to understand the root here. Let me go beyond that, right? I'm not going to choose to be offended by you. I'm going to choose to try to understand where this is coming from. And that's where you start kind of allowing yourself to break away from this place of, oh, this is personal. I'm going to take this personally. You don't got to. You don't have to. You can actually choose not to, which is crazy. I didn't realize we had so much free will in our choices to be offended or not. Even when I think about something like someone says to me, like this morning, my sister said to me, you like eggs. You really like eggs. And for a second, I was like, is she trying to, like, what's she trying to say by that? Like, is it wrong to like eggs? And immediately I had to catch myself because I was like, oh, she's just pointing out an observation. Like, just, you like eggs. That is not, she's not trying to offend me, but I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, is that a critique? Is that a bad thing? And that is probably saying something about me that I need to unpack internally, why I automatically was like taking her saying I like eggs as a negative thing. Like, do I have a negative perspective of eggs? Is there a negative connotation to this? Like, but in that moment, I paused myself before I can get like an attitude or before I can be like, oh, what do you mean by that? I was like, yeah, I do. Like, do you not like eggs? And she was like, no, I do like eggs. It just seems that you like them a lot more. And I was able to be like, yeah, like they're a really great source of protein, easy to get. Like, that's how quickly the conversation shifted, because I chose to respond differently. I chose to be able to take a moment to intake what she said to me. I am perceiving this as an opportunity to be offended, but I have the choice to either follow through with offense or follow through with grace, with compassion, with understanding, or even seeking clarity. Right? Because I asked her what she meant by that. Like, even seeking clarity so I don't go near to a place where I can be offended. And those are just some simple ways that you can choose to not be offended, to not choose offense. And I know as I'm saying all of this, it seems like I'm spewing out a lot of benefit of the doubt, benefit of the doubt, benefit of the doubt. And I think there was a point where I grew tired of giving people the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to be honest. Like, I just felt like I overly gave people the benefit of the doubt. And I think I'm still holding the tension of that, of like giving people the benefit of the doubt, but not giving too much of the benefit of the doubt. But really, what is too much of the benefit of the doubt? And for me, I think the reason why there's this tension and a hardness with me being able to really see and behold that space of benefit of the doubt is that I think it's hard for me to believe or execute the concept that grace and boundaries can coexist. Like, when you give someone the benefit of the doubt, that is me extending grace to someone. But then also, how do I extend grace and still uphold boundaries? How do I extend grace and not compromise myself, not compromise my values, not compromise my heart? Because I understand that they are human and that they're not perfect, the same way that I'm not perfect. So I should give grace. But what do I do in situations where just because I've given you grace doesn't mean that the way we're able to relate with one another stays the same? It doesn't erase that it was still hurtful or painful, what you did or what you said. So how do I wrestle between the two? And I honestly don't have an answer for you guys. Like, I really don't have an answer for you. And I want to learn, because they can coexist. Grace and boundaries can coexist. Like, you don't have to compromise yourself in order to give someone the benefit of the doubt. And I actually think they go hand in hand in order to do that. Like, they work together and not against one another. And I think I just had to figure out how that necessarily works out. But truly, we should be giving people the benefit of the doubt. And I would like to believe there isn't too much benefit of the doubt that you can give people because of how much God gives us the benefit of the doubt, like 24/7 all the time. And when I think about when Peter asked Jesus, how many times should you forgive someone? And he was like 70 times 7, which is basically just to be like every single time, like an infinite amount of times. There's never less amount of times to forgive. And yes, even in us choosing not to be offended, even in us choosing to not assume and choosing to not take things so personally, there will be times you will be offended. And like I told you earlier, there are times it is personal. But just because we are valid in our offense, right, doesn't mean we have to stay in it. And I think part of not taking things personally is choosing to... I think part of not taking things personally is taking the next step of, this hurt me, I am offended. How can I leave this place of offense so that it doesn't become resentment, so that it doesn't become bitterness, so it doesn't harden my heart? Not every time are we going to escape offense. Not every time are we going to choose not to be offended, because sometimes it's a lot easier to be offended. And like I said, your offense is valid. Like, sometimes it's generally like, no, they meant to offend me. Like, it wasn't like, oh, they were coming from a place internally, childhood trauma, different in perspectives. Like, no. Like, you meant to offend it. You wanted to hurt me. What is my choice here? My choice is to not stay in the place of offense. My choice is to not offend you back, right? That's another choice we can make. You can be offended, but also choose not to be offended back. And all of those things ties into us not taking these things personally. And the reason why I'm harping on not taking things personally, because essentially what I'm really trying to get us to understand is to not internalize everything. Not everything is meant to be eternalized. It's not. Internalizing everything is actually very harmful to one's self-being, like one's self-confidence and one's ability to really show up the way they should in the world. And so don't internalize everything, because you're not meant to. You're not meant to carry the burdens of others. You're not meant to carry the wounds of others. You actually don't have the capacity to. Sometimes you can in relationships with people and the people you care and love about and love. And that's great. But even then, there's a limit to what you can carry. You're not meant to internalize everything. And it's very important that we learn to do that, to not take things so personally, so it doesn't poison our hearts and make us hard and make us resistant to being in a relationship with people. And so, with all that being said, let's think about all the practical ways that we can live lives with an unoffendable heart. So, first thing is to stop assuming. Stop making assumptions, trying to assume people's intentions, their thoughts, their actions. It actually doesn't matter how well you know a person. You truly will never know a person 100%. And it's still important to communicate with others. I simply like to live by this saying of, I'd rather be an over communicator than an under communicator. Even if you think it's insignificant or small, clearly it's important enough if it is bothering you. Like, just because you don't think it's that important to another person, if it's bothering you so much, then it is important, it is significant, and create space for there to be clarity and not confusion. So 1, let's stop assuming. 2, give people the benefit of the doubt. I know. I feel like this is very like a hot take now, unpopular thing to do in our culture. I mean, we have cancel culture for a reason. That's very much against the agenda of giving people the benefit of the doubt. But extend grace, because there's going to be times where you need grace extended to you. Seek to understand before you are understood, and really take the time to learn, like I'm gonna have to take the time to learn that grace and boundaries can coexist. Just because you extend grace doesn't mean you have to keep putting yourself in harm's way, and that there is understanding for that, and there is grace for both to exist with one another. And so seek to give people the benefit of the doubt because they are human, and 90% of the time they're actually not trying to bring offense to you, but they're just acting out of a place of humanness. And so remember that they're human just like you are. And I think it's very important that we treat people not the way that they treat us, but the way that Christ would treat them. And so that means even when you are facing offense and there's an opportunity to choose to be offended, choose not to present offense back, but choose to instead to present grace, forgiveness, compassion, and understanding unto that person. And then 3, there is choice in offense, and that choice relies in your response. So when there is opportunities presented to you to be offended, which surely there will be many to come, in that moment, take a pause. The same way that I had to take a pause when my sister said to me, "You really love eggs." Take a pause and be like, I have a choice right now in my response. I can choose to be offended, or I can choose to seek clarity. I can choose to be kind in my response, right? And not take that on. You don't have to take on the offense of others. A part of that choice that you make in your response is either choosing to take on the offense or choosing to take it off, to let it roll off of you. And so we have choice in our response. So choose responses that will allow you to take off the offense rather than take it on. And for when you are offended, because there will be times where you will be offended and it will be intentional, the offense done to you. Choose in that moment to be quicker to forgive than to hold on a grudge. Choose in that moment to be quicker to let go than to hold on, so that resentment and bitterness does not stay within your heart. Because all these things, I'm not taking it personal, but learning to let go of offense is how we have unoffendable hearts, and that we are able to really show up as people that can love others even in the face of hatred, that when we are cussed out, we are actually thinking of what brought this person to a place where they are doing these kinds of actions to other people. Because I really do believe in the saying, hurt people hurt people. But what can healed people do? We always hear that saying, hurt people, but what can healed people do? And I think that if hurt people, healed people can heal people. And so be those kinds of people. Let's walk out this month, this year. Like, actually, let's really try to make that one of our goals for our Still Learning community in the year of 2026, to have unoffendable hearts, to have hearts that are not easily offended, but to have hearts that are quicker to forgive, quicker to show grace, quicker to show compassion, hearts that are quicker to see the human behind the actions, hearts that are able to understand that I too need grace, I too need mercy, I too am not always perfect. And even if other people choose to be quick to be offended, doesn't mean you have to do the same. And people who don't choose to treat people how they treat them, because people aren't always going to treat you right, but choose to treat people the way Christ would treat them. So let's make that our goal, to have unoffendable hearts in the year of 2026. And I truly believe that in us embarking on that journey and not taking things so personally, we will live more freer, more lives with more peace and more unity with others, and filled with so much more love. And so I hope that you guys enjoyed today's conversation, and I will see you next week for another episode of Still Learning. Bye.